Hello and welcome at the Red Bull Ring in Austria for the first race of this weekend in the BMW M2 Cup, which is joining forces with ESET Cup Series for this weekend in Styria. It is the third round for the ESET Cup Series, but only second round for the BMW M2 Cup in 2023. They have started their season at Zandvoort, first with testing and press event and then with the round number one, and now we're getting ready to race here with 10 cars on the grid. It is a 1 hour long race with a pit stop in the middle, so you've got cars that will be shared by two drivers, and it is pole position for the pairing of Senna van der Seulen and Leighton Fury, and alongside on the front row it is Lorenzo van Riet. Waiting for the green flag. There it is, and we are racing here in Austria. It is Rodenburg, pairing of Rodenburg and Van der Kratz from third, and there's crash immediately in the first corner. From fifth on the grid, Jaden Post crashed into the car number 53. There it is, spinning around and getting going again. So excitement for the race start immediately. But it's the pole position hold of the pole sitter, car number 24, in the race lead, presumably Senna van Seulen from Lorenzo van Riet and Sen Rodenburg. Track still wet and dry in the morning. We did already have a GT sprint race earlier on, and it was extremely slippery in the beginning of it. Now the track is getting better and better with each and every racing lap. And it is Rodenburg getting back through the field after the opening corner crash with Jaden Post. Of bodywork hanging off the car on the right hand side. So far, pose any issue for the driver, and he's coming through, just showing much better pace than quite a large portion of the rest of the field, and he has now got himself up to 7th or 6th. Depending on, yeah, I believe that was 6th already, in front of Sandra van der Sloot. And we did have one of the cars entering the pit lane. That is Jaden Post. That's the other car that was in the incident in the first corner of the race. There it is, the car number 74, returning back to the mechanics. And is there an issue with the front left suspension, I wonder? Wouldn't really be surprised by that. Rodenburg making his way up. Of Bus Curtain Racing. So Senna van Seulen in the lead of the race from Lorenzo van Riet. Those have stayed together since the beginning, since the opening lap incident that unraveled in the first corner. Job Rapange in third, and Colin Bunninghausen in fourth. We've got two couples, so to say, now running behind one another in first, second, third, and fourth. About 6 second, 1.5 second gap between the two duos. So chasing one another and at the same time having fights of their own. Then there's already a little bit more of a gap. 9 seconds to the race lead and actually 6.3 to the fourth place by Sven Rodenburg. He is on his way up the grid and we are going to be following his times rather closely to see if he's getting back together with the top four or not, as he was among the top three on the grid. Fastest lap set so far by Lorenzo van Riet in the previous lap, but even though he did set another fastest first sector, that overall fastest lap has just been stolen from him, and it is rather unsurprisingly by Sven Rodenburg. Is now running in clean air, having dealt with the slower drivers, and he's now fifth, trying to get back in touch with the top four. He's just done 140.4, but the cars ahead are not that much slower, all of them running at rather similar times. 140.7 for the race leader, 40.4 for the one that's following him, and then the other two cars 140.8, 140.6, and then 140.4 for the 5. He's reduced his gap to 6.1 seconds. It's going to take some time, presumably, but the race is long, and there is also a pit stop somewhere in the middle, so anything can still change. And the track is getting drier and drier with pretty much each lap now, and the weather forecast tells us that the sun should come through the clouds and start shining during the day. The temperatures should rise even to somewhere around 20 degrees Celsius. So it's supposed to be a nice day. Didn't really start like that. BMW have produced this bespoke racing machine as a real racing car. So it's not only just a touring car sort of turned, or GT car turned into a racer. It's a car that started life with racing in mind already. So it's a properly race-bred car, or track-bred car. And there is a change in the race lead because Lorenzo van Riet has now gone past Senna van Seulen. And he is through. The battle for third still unresolved for now. In the car number 74, that's Jaden Post. He was, I would say, quite definitely at fault for the opening lap clash. So the team members should report to the race steward's office. That's quite clear. We're going to have a word about that. Fight for third. So Dirk Warmerdam trying to hold on to third from Colin Bunninghausen. He did have a beautiful scrap for third through the first corner, And this is gradually allowing also Sven Rodenburg to get closer. He's only 5.3 seconds adrift now. And in the meantime, Lorenzo van Riet, as he's newly gained the race lead, also set the fastest lap and already pushed the limit to 1:40.003. So we're very near that 100-second barrier. But they are still running quite closely together with Senna van Seulen. A lot of names on the entry list of the whole championship, but not that many drivers actually appearing for the Red Bull Ring round. But I'm pretty sure that I saw, for example, Dan Peel in the pits earlier on, being together again with Good Speed Racing. Piotr Vera, his team. Here in the M2 Cup, he drives for the Team Blackemolen. It's going to be a fight. Sandra van der Sloot. This is the fight for 7th, 8th and 9th. And really, Dick van Elk is now on the move because he was, well, last overall, but actually third in his class. And he's just dealt with both of his opponents. He's overtaken Sandra van der Sloot and now even Patrick de Vrede. And here we are back in the fight for, it should be for second. Is it? No, first, sorry, first. So technically, yeah, first and second at the same time. And it's still Lorenzo van Riet in the lead from Senna van Seulen. Definitely unhappy about losing the lead a couple of laps back. Trying to stay in touch with Lorenzo van Riet. They are running close to one another, just 0.2 of a second, even less than that, across the line. 190,000 thousandths of a second. So really right behind one another. Van Serlen not really allowing Van Riet to get away with it. But both of them have already put some distance between themselves and the other group that's following. That is Dirk Warmerdam and Colin Bönninghausen. Sendro getting closer and closer. 4.5 seconds now to fourth position. Well, the car itself is basically a bespoke racing red car from BMW. It's based on the 2 Series, and it is the BMW M2 CS racing model with a 3-litre inline 6-cylinder and actually 450 brake horsepower, so that's quite a lot for such a small car. Does run pretty briskly around the Red Bull Ring. It's got specially modified racing suspension and also the gearbox. Interior really developed for racing purposes. All the unnecessary bits are gone. Steering wheel being a proper racing one. Buttons, everything that the racing driver needs to have in the race. And actually, for the drivers, quite a lot of possibilities, and not only drivers, but of course their engineers, to adjust the settings. So the suspension allowing for quite some play. Of a second between these two drivers. The last time out, what is it going to be right now? They are still about 0.4 of a second from one another, and more importantly, Sven Rodenburg is already 3.6 seconds behind them, so he is getting closer quite quickly actually, because both of these drivers, as they fight one another, they have done over 141. But Rodenburg lapped the Red Bull Ring in 140.6, some 5-6 tenths faster than the 2 cars in front of him. And as you'll notice, he's getting in the same picture as the other 2. So this couple is going to quickly become a trio. But of course, this will desirably quick stop in his race, in his progress. He would like to deal with these 2 drivers, sort it out with them pretty quickly, and continue to actually chase after the race leaders, who aren't that far away, but they are still lapping faster and faster, and that means that they are still disappearing from the rest of the world. Doing all he can to catch with them. And that's the fight for the lead. The drivers actually pushing each other, and amazingly, even though they battle together, they are managing to lap the track quite quickly. Just 1700ths of a second from one another across the line. So Van Riet in the lead from Van Serlen. This is what you get when both of the drivers are roughly on the same level. It's actually quite hard to find that extra advantage over your rival to actually get yourself properly in the fight. So Van Serlen is having to wait for a mistake from his opponent or trying to force him into one. 40 minutes left. We've just entered the second third of the race. Rodenburg getting closer and closer. 2.6 now. Just as Benelux is attempting a pass on Dirk Warmerdam down the inside into turn 3. Warmerdam staying ahead, however, they are running side by side. Warmerdam did use quite more of the track than was actually there. He did run wide across the sausage curb, but they are now staying side by side of one another. Benninghausen having the crucial inside line into turn 4, and that is now giving him third in this race. Look how close they are still. Adjust their speed through the fast left-handers, not to touch one another. Using the whole width of the track that is on offer. And down the hill we go through the fast right-handers. This is the one where it's quite easy to lose it. Both of the cars absolutely on the edge of the available grip. And Rodenburg getting closer and closer. Also running a little wide out of the last corner. Warmerdam still staying together with Benninghausen. And Rodenburg very definitely now getting into the mix. He's now being sucked visually into this fight. He can see both of the drivers in front of himself, and that's just acting like a magnet. And look how close he's getting with every single corner now. It's also helped massively by the fact that these two guys are fighting one another now quite actively and intensely. Benninghausen holding on to third, defending it down the inside into fourth. As the race leaders, has there been a swap? They're also very close to one another, and we now trying to see what to watch first, because it's getting properly exciting. These are the race leaders. Getting side by side together on the start and finish straight. Van Riet still leading from Van Serlen. Cornering so flat through the first corner. And how how does it look in the fight for third? No change just yet. We've just seen the cars run past the start and finish straight and across the line. Bönninghausen third, Warmerdam fourth, and Rodenburg in fifth. Behind him, Barry van Elk, Dick van Elk, Patrick de Vrede and Sandra van der Slot. This is the fight for the lead. Van Riet and Van Seulen mirroring each other. Van Seulen is trying to see if there is any opportunity for him to pounce. 35 minutes left on the clock. We're really getting closer to the pit stops, and I believe that Senna Van Seulen is actually now coming in. Yes, he is. He is coming in. He might actually get replaced now because he's entered into the race together with Leighton Furry. Look how close it still remains in the fight for third, and now it is a three-way fight for third because Bönninghausen and Warmerdam have been caught by Rodenburg, who was on in third on the grid before being taken out in the first corner by Jaden Post. Since then he's been playing catch up. He braked so hard there was a touch. And now Warmerdam is pushing Bönninghausen off the line. He's creating space for himself. There was a touch under braking. Warmerdam went on the brakes a tad later than Bönninghausen. They are still close to one another side by side, and now Warmerdam uses the inside line to get himself back into third, and he's sliding out of the left-hander. Still somehow managing to stay ahead. Rodenburg trying to see where there is a chance for himself. And into the pits will go Bönninghausen. He did use his indicator to show the other drivers, hey, I'm about to go right. Please don't hit me. But he did come across the white line there. I'm not really sure whether the race stewards will want to have a look at that in regards to a potential penalty, because you're supposed to stay completely off the line, and we have got cars coming back on track after their pit stop. It was Barry van Elk in, also Sandra van der Slot in, and also Senna van Seulen. And Rodenburg attacking Warmerdam into third. Trying to still remain ahead, which he does. He did find more grip on the outside. He was able to go back on throttle sooner, and that gave him the top speed advantage on this straight. Van Riet still leading. This is the car number 66, that's him, so he is now in the pits. He is doing the race on his own. So he will come back out on track rather shortly. What is the rest of the pack doing? Rodenburg coming in. Staying right to the line, coming into the pits. Dirk Warmerdam still staying out on track. which means that he will now theoretically take the lead of the race. Yes, he does. But of course, only until the moment when he appears in the pits himself. Down leading the race, but only for the moment. Rodenburg is in the pits, and he will then come back out. Is entered in the race together with Johnny van der Kratz. This should be the gentleman class leader. I think that was Patrick de Vrede, who was now running third overall. Of course, only courtesy of the later pit stop, and there is an issue for one of the cars. Was that one of the race leaders? It was. No, those are the race leaders. They are back together, so no change there. So out of the track went one of the Van Elks, either 73 or 72 car, which is ticked over to the second half of the race. So Lorenzo van Riet and Senna van Serlen back together now after the pits, and their fight continues. Now this is virtually the fight for the lead. It's Leighton Furry in the fight together with Lorenzo van Riet and getting ahead. So there is a change, and it's Leighton Furry in the lead. He's taken over from Senna van Serlen, and he's immediately took the lead off the hands of Van Riet. Senna van Serlen was actually on pole, so he lost the lead to to Van Riet earlier on, and now Furry is taking it back for the car number 24. The car number 66 has been pushed down the order to virtual second. We are still waiting for the pit stop of Dirk Warmerdam to be completed. He was in the pits already, so he must now be... Hang on, the live timing says outlap, but that does not seem to be entirely correct, because that would have meant that he's miles ahead of the race leaders, and I don't think that's the case. So the car number 15, Dirk Warmerdam, he has also been replaced by his teammate, and it must be Job Rapange. traffic title already. So it's Leighton Furry in the lead from Lorenzo van Riet. That's these two cars still fighting out for the overall victory. And Rodenburg in the car number 53 was replaced by Gianni van der Kratz. That car is now running 4th overall. Rapangi 3rd. Rapangi took over from Warmerdam, which means that Rodenburg's work is now coming undone a little, and that car fell down to 4th after the pit stop. So it's car number 24 leading from car number 66, 15 and 53. And also driver changes taking place. Investigation, cars number 66 and 72. Unsafe release. Was an incident between these two cars, where both of the drivers actually have transgressions of their own. Simply an incident between these two cars. Car number 72 we've just talked about, it's Dick van Elk. Yellow flag at turn 1, that's clear. Leighton Furry leading from Lorenzo van Riet as he overtook the car number 66 shortly after the pit stop. And what we're witnessing here is the following fight. Gianni van der Kratz. Well, that's an exciting one. Car number 11, that is actually Bönninghausen. Now presumably his teammate McAfee has ended in the race together with him. So Leighton Furry leading from Lorenzo van Riet, Gianni van der Kratz in 3rd from Job Rapange and Rob McAfee after the pit stop. Barry van Elk in 6th, Rogier de Louvre in 7th, and Sandra van der Sloot in 8th. From Dick van Elk, who spun a couple of moments back, and presumably also him, who drove off the track in corner number 4. So 20 minutes left in this race. We've just entered the last third of it. And Leighton Furry lapping slightly, well, when I say slightly faster, I now mean significantly faster. Now he did 140.5. While Van Riet only did 141.2, so his pace dropped a little, while Furry managed the personal best first sector. We are dropping the pace gradually, so very probably we will not see another fastest lap of the race. Set at 140.003 by Lorenzo van Riet. On lap 5 actually. Furry leading from Van Riet. Van Riet spent 12 laps in the lead of the race. And this is the 10th lap in the lead for the car number 24. So Leighton Furry turning the tables for their respective car and crew. 10 laps in the lead for the car number 24 right now. They are getting closer to that record of Lorenzo van Riet, and they are about to become the most successful car in the race, and crucially holding the lead of it. So let me see now. Leighton Furry in the lead. Car number 24. Already by 1.6 seconds ahead of Lorenzo van Riet. Then further 10.6 seconds to the third place Gianni van der Kratz, who is not lapping faster. If anything, he's half a second slower. Jon Rapange in 4th. Further 3.3 seconds behind the third placed car. Then further 1 second back there is Rob McAfee with car number 11, and he's managing to be actually a little faster than Job Rapange, so that's the one to watch right now, and that's the one that we are watching right now, of course. And then you've got further nearly 13 seconds to Barry van Elk in 6th, and then a whole minute to Rogier de Louvre, Sandra van der Sloot, and Dick van Elk. So this this is the fight for fourth. And that one is getting closer and closer. Members of the car, or the team for the car number 66, should report to the stewards after the race. That's Lorenzo van Rink. Not exactly sure what happened there, but that's not important for the moment. What is the fight for fourth. Job Rapange coming under pressure from Rob McAfee. Their teammates swapped the order in their previous stint, and now things are getting heated up in this situation. They are already really close to one another. Slipstreaming down the pit straight, flashing the headlights, trying to use every trick in the book to unnerve the rival. Rob McAfee is now slipstreaming behind, going up the hill through the fast left-hander. That is turn number 2. They are now getting side by side next to one another. There was the slightest of touches into the third. Job Rapange still staying ahead. That was the first attempt. Rob McAfee now side by side with Rapange once again into fourth, into turn number 4, and that's already done and dusted. He was faster under brakes, so Job Rapange admitted defeat and is slotted behind that white BMW. So Job Rapange falling down to 5th. On the other hand, Rob McAfee climbing up to 4th. Is there another place to be had? Yes, there is. So there is still a possibility of finishing on the podium for car number 11, because Gianni van der Kratz is only about 3.5, 4 seconds further up the road. And what about the times? Well, van der Kratz did 1:41.7 on the previous lap. McAfee did 1:41.5, so he does manage to be faster. He's only got nearly 13 minutes, well, under 13 minutes to do that. But how about his pace when he's back in the free air? This lap is not going to be indicative for his pace, but the next one will be. The next one that we've just started. So, on to the next one we go, and there's also, is that Barry van Elk now? Fight out of position. That, I believe, might be the car number 7. Sandra van der Sloot. She's driving the Tibbets clear 1:41.9 on the previous lap. Okay, total of 5 seconds penalty for car number 15, Sandra van der Sloot. Even though this is not really her fight, she is faster and she doesn't like to be held up by the predominantly blue car, trying to get ahead of it. But the car number 15 of Job Rapange that she's fighting with is going to have an aggregate of 5 seconds added to their time once the race is finished. for car number 66, and that's getting juicy because that's Lorenzo van Riet. Unsafe release, and that is going to hand him 15 seconds of penalty, and that would now mean a drop to third, because he's only 14 seconds ahead of Gianni van der Kratz. But van der Kratz is being reeled in by Rob McAfee, who, having dealt with the Opera Punch, is trying to get another position. However, yeah, he is lapping faster, but only just. It was 1/10 of a difference on the previous lap. That is not fast enough. We've only got 10 minutes left in the race. So still things to fight for, but the time is running out. Very leading from Van Riet, Van der Kratz, McAfee, Rapange, Van Elk, I should say Barry Van Elk, Rogier de Louvre, Sandra van der Sloot and Dick Van Elk. Van der Sloot having another go on Rapange. Side by side. It is not full position, so Rapange does not really need to be defending that hard, but Sandra van der Sloot is through. This is the second place car, number 66, which will be loaded with a 15-second penalty at the end of the race. Leighton Furry in the lead, having done 30 laps. Overtaking one of the gentlemen. That should be Rogier de Louvre. Senna van Solen, who took the victory in the opening race of the season at Zandvoort on well, in the mid-April, so about a month ago. And there's a problem. Is that the car number? What is that? 72. This is a favourite corner for the car number 72, isn't it? We've seen Dick Van Elk in trouble here already. And now he's done the similar thing, only this time he didn't complete the full spin, let's say the full 180, so only a 90-degree turn, and that made it a little harder for him to actually get going again. So it was Senna van Solen victorious in race number 1, and then actually also in race number 2 at Zandvoort, and that meant that he is leading the table, but together with Leighton Furry and Mark van der Aar, van der Kratz, together with St. Rodenburg, are second in the standings with 37 points. So that means 10 points fewer than the leaders. And then Barry van Elk in third with 33 points. He's not really doing that well today. Jaden Post in fourth, 28 points. But Jaden Post is not going to score anything today, as he dropped out of contention right in the beginning with the clash with St. Rodenburg. But the leading car of Leighton Furry and Senna van Serlen, those are the championship leaders, and now going for the third victory in a row in the 2023 season of the BMW M2 Cup Benelux. The calendar consists of more rounds, of course, so they've done Zandvoort as the season opener mid-April. Now they are joining forces with the ESET Cup for the Red Bull Ring round, and then on the 7th, 8th and 9th of July they're going to Belgium, to Zolder, Zolder Super Prix, and then back to Zandvoort in the mid-September, then mid-October to Spa-Francorchamps, and then at the end of October back to the Netherlands for the season finale at Assen. Cars is back to the pits. That is, hang on a second, it's the car number 15. That's Yopra Bunch. Is there an issue for the car that was once even in the fight for a potential podium? Yopra Punch is in the pits. I don't think it's just a drive through. Something's wrong with the car, probably. Just as we have 3 minutes left, and we are following the race leader, Leighton Furry, and also the championship leader, Leighton Furry. Lorenzo van Riet in second, Gianni van der Kratz in third, but let's not forget the 15-second penalty for the car number 66. However, he is not forgetting that himself, and therefore he's extended the gap between himself and the following Gianni van der Kratz to over 17 seconds now, which means that the penalty is not going to affect his finishing position. But it means that for real he's now out of contention for the race victory. This is the car in question, car number 66. Expecting a 15-second penalty at the end of the race. 2 minutes left. So we are on the penultimate lap of the race. 33 laps completed, so we should get up to the number of 35. So the last lap ahead of us. Patrick de Vrede together with Rogier de Louvre, who are the class leaders in the NL Trophy. From Luc van Loon and Ronald van Loon, who are not together with us here at the Red Bull Ring, but Johan van der Voort and Sandra van der Sloot in third overall. They are definitely going to climb up the order in the championship with today's result. As the clock is ticking down to 0. And we are awaiting the race leader, Leighton Furry. Through the last right-handers he goes. And onto the start and finish straight. Leighton Furry is going to come out on top at the end of the 1 hour of racing. Leighton Furry taking victory here in Austria as the round 2 of the BMW M2 Cup Benelux. Lorenzo van Riet in second. He will have 15 seconds added to his time, but according to what we see now on the live timing screen, that is not going to affect his position, because only here are the following drivers. So Gianni van der Kratz finishing third, Rob McAfee in the end some 3 seconds behind the third place, so finishing in fourth. Barry van Elk in fifth, coming across the line in just a couple of seconds. Rogier de Louvre in sixth, Sandra van der Sloot in seventh, Dick van Elk in eighth, and Job Rapange actually ending up in the pits towards the end of the race for certain issues, with Jaden Post the only one actually not finishing the race, having dropped out of contention after the problem, well, after the incident from the opening lap from the first corner, where he crashed into Rodenburg. So that is race number 3 of the 2023 campaign of the BMW M2 Cup Benelux. So that's it for the first race of the BMW M2 Cup Benelux, and we are now going to take a short break, and we will be back in about half an hour with the second race of the weekend of the Eastern European TCR, and make sure that you are back for that one, because that is going to be definitely an exciting race to watch.